There was an article that caught my attention, mostly because of the dollar sign on it. And that was $134,000 worth of guns stolen. And so it caught my attention. And it's really kind of an intriguing read because of everything that took place with these guns being stolen, what guns got stolen. But what's really intriguing is where they ended up at. Fascinating stuff. Now, before I get into it, do want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, ES Power Drink, for making the only drink that I'm aware of that has Trinidad scorpion peppers, so I could easily drink this drink. I could reap the benefits of the capsaicins in it, the health benefits. I sleep better, I lose weight faster, I have more energy, I have a better outlook on life. And the reason it's ES Power Drink is it's designed to drink once a week. Every Sunday is what the ES stands for. But it's really about building a tolerance for these peppers. So eventually you just eat them yourself and reap the tremendous benefits of just the purity of it. But they also now make these chips, these ice chips that you freeze, these fire and ice chips that just chow one of those every day. And the things it does for you, like it heats up your body as if you've been in a workout, and then you come back down and you just start burning calories even though you didn't work out. You add that to good eating in a workout, you're gonna burn so much faster. So I'm gonna highly recommend it. They have little combo packs for all this as well. That link is below. All right, now what are we getting at here? Well, where these guns were stolen is $134,000 worth of guns were stolen from a gun museum in Australia. Now, I want to remind you that Australia has extremely strict gun laws. You're not allowed to own guns at all. Like, unless you're a farmer and you kind of need it, you know, for like wild animals, or if you are a sportsman, like if you're an Olympic shooter, for example, or if you're a cop or in the military, and that's about it. That is about it. And it was really a couple decades ago that everybody had to turn in their guns. The whole country just turned in your guns. And everybody did. They just turned in their guns. And that was the end of it. Or was it? You know, because guns are still circulating. And here's what's fascinating about the guns that were stolen from this museum. There was only 27 of them. So you got $134,000 worth of guns, and it's only 27 guns. And what you had was, most of these guns are functional guns, and all of them, according to authorities, can become functional. Some of them coming from the late 1800s, World War I, World War II, and even modern guns as well, because, you know, they can't go check out modern guns themselves, so they can go to a museum and look at modern guns. But they can't look at them themselves. Like, we can go into a gun store and look, or maybe we can even buy one and take it home, but they can't do that. So they got to go to a museum and see those guns. And now these guns are missing. Now, 27 guns, big deal. The dollar sign, that is a big deal. But really the reason I decided to make this video is where the guns ended up. Because according to authorities, the number one currency of organized crime in Australia is firearms. And I mean, when they're so rare to get a hold of, it's generally organized crime that's going to get a hold of them. Your average guy on the street isn't going to get a hold of an illegal gun necessarily before organized crime is going to get a hold of it. And there's no doubt, according to authorities, that that's where these guns ended up, is in organized crime. Now, this kind of fascinates me for a couple reasons. Number one, it just shows you that it doesn't matter how many gun bans you have, criminals are going to get a hold of guns. If you ban guns like they did in Australia, the good guys don't have guns, the criminals do. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's just common sense. Criminals don't obey the law. The criminals didn't turn in their guns. And if a criminal is involved in organized crime, he's clearly not turning in his gun at all. And the other piece that intrigues me, you know, first of all, let that sink in for a while, because apply that to the US as well, or anywhere that wants to ban guns. You're not banning the criminals' guns. You're not. You're only banning our guns. All right. With that being said, the other piece that intrigues me about this is these are museum-worthy guns, and I just find it interesting that a lot of organized criminals are using museum-worthy guns. I think that's kind of cool, so to say. You know, I could just picture these mafia guys with some 6-shooters or, you know, who knows. I'd like to see a list of the guns. I sure would, you know, especially the World War I and the World War II guns that were stolen. What were those ones? Or the modern ones, for that matter. What were they? But it just intrigues me to think that organized criminals are walking around with museum-worthy guns. Why not? I mean, if they're the only guns you can get, museum-worthy guns it is. Because again, $134,000 worth of guns are not going to your average Joe on the street in Australia, or Joey or whatever you would call them. They're going to the criminals. They're definitely going to the organized criminals, according to authorities. And now you have more heavily armed criminals in Australia, and you have less armed citizens in Australia. Sounds like a recipe to disaster for me, but that's just me. So there you go. Where did $134,000 worth of guns go? Organized crime, walking around just pretty stylish with those museum-worthy guns, I would say. But there you go. Any thoughts or insight on any of this? Definitely put it below. Do want to take a moment and say if you feel called to support this channel to Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.